It's a group that often gets overlooked, homeless youth. Vincentians in Eugene, Oregon are changing young people's lives, as Trace Trilko shows us on this tour of the Society's Youth House.
Jamaica Anderson has experienced a lot of difficult things during her young life.
I am a very, very strong woman with a lot of ambition to try to help girls not go through what I put myself through.
The 22-year-old woman witnessed her parents' drug abuse, bounced from house to foster homes, and eventually ended up on the streets. Fortunately, she persevered and now is helping others with similar experiences at the St. Vincent de Paul Youth House for Girls, a safe haven for homeless teenagers, supported by the Society of St. Vincent de Paul of Lane County, Oregon.
Though I went through a lot of bad stuff, I became who I am today, and though I still struggle and nothing's perfect, I wouldn't change who I am for anybody.
Jamaica helped plan the design of the house, transformed into a home for 13 teens out of what was formerly a Presbyterian church. The Youth House project started in 2014, but the seeds of this effort date back 2 decades earlier, when project coordinator Paul Naval was a reporter profiling a homeless girl.
I showed up to write a story about this girl who was in high school and she was homeless. This is 20 years ago. And I had to agree to interview her that I wouldn't identify her. And she lived in a van right behind a gas station. And I thought, how do you do it? How do you survive? How do you live from one day to another? How do you keep going? And I told that story when I was started to do fundraising, and somebody came to me later and he said, you know why you're doing what you're doing, don't you? And I said, why? And he said, you're doing because of that girl. Because she changed her heart. What we've done is take this sanctuary and we've turned it into the great room. And I call it the Commons. And the Commons is where we want to draw the homeless, unaccompanied girls who are staying here. They're going to get to stay for 2 years rent-free. We're going to bring them in here, and we want these kids to gather. This is where they come, they sit together, they talk together, they laugh together, they cry together.
The Youth House provides up to 2 years of transitional housing through individual apartments, as well as food, clothing, and health care. The Society's Pete Kern says this wraparound approach is critical to success.
It's been fun to be a part of it. It's exciting that young women are here and have an opportunity to achieve something in their life, to move towards a trajectory they might not have otherwise had an opportunity for.
Kern says the Youth House is helping to fill a desperate need in this part of Oregon.
The most alarming are those people who are young adults or who are separated from their families. Either they've been abandoned or they haven't felt safe living with their families, and so they're making it on their own.
Mia Longsworth experienced homelessness from a young age, going from her original home in Eugene with a mother addicted to drugs to various stops in California with a father she barely knew. Mia also helped on the Youth House's design. She understands the importance of stability.
It makes me really happy, just knowing that there's going to be a place here for them and that people care this much. That's the one problem with being homeless, is that you kind of start to lose your sense of being normal, and that just starts to really get to you, and you think that you can never be normal. So when you find a place that you can just stay at and be stable, and you know you're going to be stable for 2 years, it's great, because it's you're able to focus on yourself and figure out what you want your life to be, instead of always trying to figure out where food is or where you're going to sleep next and all that sort of thing.
Watching kids who have been on the street for years, since they've been 12 or 13 and now they're 18, and saying, okay, let's move you off. Let's get you into stable housing. Let's get you a job. Let's get you every other thing that you need to become a member of this community and really do something great for yourself. And so moving kids off the street has definitely been one of the most rewarding experiences.
Jenna Laver works at the Youth House and also is a part of the 15th Night Youth Action Coalition, which aims to get the homeless off the streets within 15 days of becoming homeless. Why 15 days? Laver says the coalition believes after that point, people living without a home face an increased risk of becoming chronically homeless, and the Society's Youth House can play an important part in reversing that trend.
I think it's going to be really successful. I think the girls are going to feel at home for once. They'll feel comfortable. They will have community, people they can talk to, and they don't know who else to talk to. And I hope that it really creates a family environment, and I think it will.
Nestled in a neighborhood, this youth house has been put together with a lot of love and care, a spot where lives are being transformed.
St. Vincent de Paul has a reputation of doing housing right, of working with neighborhoods, of creating a community within a community.
Society volunteer Mary Sharon Moore says the youth house fits nicely into this Eugene neighborhood.
St. Vinny's, as it's affectionately called, had this reputation already. And there was also a neighborhood leader in the surrounding neighborhood who said, this is going to be a positive for everyone. It was completely transformative. Transformative for the neighborhood, transformative also for the larger city, to actually witness a neighborhood, a community saying yes to a housing venture like this. Transformative for the young women who will be here. It's complete win-win. In my humble opinion, it is what the reign of God looks like.
Moore says her work with the society puts her faith into action. She believes what's happening with the youth house in Lane County can be replicated in other communities.
Yes, I travel nationwide as an evangelizing missionary. And at some point in my workshop or my parish mission or my talk, I work in some slides and some narrative around what St. Vincent de Paul Society of Lane County is doing to show people how to bring faith into the civic square. So I am uninhibited when it comes to talking about faith in action.
Jenna and Mia appreciate what the Society of St. Vincent de Paul of Lane County is doing with this youth house and are grateful for the opportunities it presents.
There's a lot of studies that show that the first step to creating a sustainable, healthy life is to first get stable housing and stability in a kid's life and in anybody's life. To move them off the street, stability is the first step.
Absolutely, like it's a need that this needs to be dealt with. And I really want people to know that it's a problem, because not everyone knows that there's like a huge youth homelessness problem, and it affects people because it's the next generation too. Like, these are the people that are going to grow up and take care of everyone else, and the newer generation, they're going to be the parents, and you want them to feel like safe and cared about. I think that it's amazing how much care everyone's put in to this place. It like astounded me when I came in here because I hadn't seen it previously finished. So like seeing all just like the little details of things, like the crayons and the little stuffed animals and the handmade quilts, like all of it, it just shows you like how much people really, really care about this problem.
Little touches that go a long way.
Well, I dream of the day, maybe 15 years from now, when the first group coming through here will come back someday, 15 years from now, and say, I started out here, my life changed here, where they can speak to that next generation of young women being housed here and say, let me tell you, this place was the foundation for my life, where I could get it together, make some life decisions, and make something of myself. And let me tell you my story now. I look forward to the day when that will happen.
And to think, all the society has built here comes more than 2 decades after Paul Novell's chance encounter with a young homeless girl, a teenager who inadvertently inspired a dream. For Our Faith in Action, today's Society of St. Vincent de Paul, I'm Trace Trolko.
Thanks, Trace. Plans are already underway for another youth house, this one dedicated to helping boys.